So jumping into the pipeline here, let's look at this Zoe deal, for example. And looks like it's showing that we're collecting documentation for her. Let's say we've gotten to the point where we've collected the docs, we've done a little bit of underwriting to understand her risk profile a bit, and we're ready to put her into a pre-approval stage so she can go house hunting. So it's just as easy as doing click and drag like that. But before I do that, I actually want to take a check in my settings to understand which workflows exist for a pre-approval. So that's what I've done here in this tab here. And so there's a ton of workflows that we've pre-built within BluMortgage, but the ones I'd like you to pay attention to are these three here. And so with these ones, you can see by default they're turned off, but I'm going to turn them on. We're going to come back to actually what each of them do in just a sec, but I want to start by just flicking them on. So now let's go back to this Zoe's mortgage here, and let's click and drag her into pre-approval. So since it's here, it's asking me for an expiry date. So I'm going to do about 120 days out, so about 4 months. And we'll just do August around the same time. This is 3 months, but I'll just put that in. And then max purchase price. So she's pre-qualified or pre-approved for $450,000, and we'll hit save. So that's happened, but since I flicked on those workflows, let's see what happened within the mortgage itself. So I'll click in. And you can see that there's a ton of stuff here, but to kind of cut through the noise, let's click on the timeline here. And so you can see that when we updated it, you can see that this was the action of updating it. We actually had a workflow that triggered that stamped a date, the date that they were pre-approved, and what's even more is that an email was sent out. So let's take a look at each of those things. So if I scroll down, the date that was stamped was this one, so we know which date that they were pre-approved on. And then if I actually go down to emails here, I can see which email was actually sent. It says you're pre-approved, and this was automatically fired out to Zoe saying, it's my pleasure to tell you you've been pre-approved. It gives the amount, the details of the pre-approval, and the expiry date. So those things that I just entered in are actually in that email that got sent to Zoe. Then it does a little prompt saying, hey, make sure you keep me in mind as you go house hunting, and then it'll put in your signature. So already pretty cool, but a lot of the power actually comes in the next steps. And to take a look at those, we'll actually go back to our setup page here. So that was the first one. So these three different workflows that exist here. That first workflow is that first email I showed you. So we've already kind of covered that. So I'll just flick this back off. But this one here is a follow-up one. So this is the first follow-up. And all it is without going into too much detail, you can see here that 7 days after that person has been pre-approved, so in a week now, Zoe is going to receive an email that's a 1-week check-in. Perfect. Now, if I go back, and now I just look at that last one, if you remember there was 3, this is the follow-up too, and there's actually a series of actions here. So 75 days before the expiry, there's a notification that goes out saying, hey, there's 75 days left. 45 days, there's a notification, and then 15 days, there's also a notification, the last one being a bit more urgent. So within BluMortgage, these are all set up for you, and all you have to do, just like I did, was come into here and choose to turn these on or off to have those go out for you. So great way to manage your pre-approvals and making sure you're staying on top of them.